Okay, it's by my clock, it's 1:30, so I'll call our meeting to order. And we'll have to adopt the agenda. So I have a recommendation here that the agenda for the May 4th, 2026 regular council meeting be accepted and passed. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor McCabe. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest today? I'm going to go to you, Councillor Hearn, first.
No.
Councillor Rankin?
I have none.
I don't have any. Councillor McCabe?
I have none.
Councillor Burke?
I have none.
Okay, thank you. So we need to pass a bylaw here right to start with. And the recommendation here is that bylaw number 35-2026 being a bylaw to appoint an acting clerk for the May 4th, 2026 closed meeting be read and passed. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Move into a closed session here, and the recommendation to do that would be that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North went to a meeting at 1:31 p.m. that is closed to the public under subsection 239 number 2 of the Municipal Act 2001, specifically deal with item B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and D, labor relations or employee negotiations. By Councillor McCabe, seconded by Burke. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Oh. We'll top her up while we have a chance here. That's great.
Okay, so we'll rise and report from the closed session. I have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North rise from the closed meeting session at 2:43 p.m. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Burke. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Recommendation is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North approves the verbal report by Carrie Sharpen, CHRL, Practice Manager, Warden Upgrowth Human Resources Solutions, and the Council approved the confidential recommendation of Carrie Sharpen, CHRL, Practice Manager, Warden Upgrowth Human Resources Solutions. Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor McCabe. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Okay.
No, we figured that out.
We're ready for Canada when you are, Karen. Okay, I think the next item on our agenda is Canada, and we'll just wait till we're technically ready for that. The force is not with you today. The dark side is winning.
I'm sorry. It's not go.
Could be my cufflinks, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Steve's wearing Darth Vader.
Vaders.
Okay, so we're gonna have to skip Canada today.
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Sorry.
so we'll recess our meeting to move into a meeting under the Planning Act. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North recess the May 4th, 2026 meeting at 2:46 p.m. for the purpose of holding meetings under the Planning Act. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Burke. Thank you. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move to the public meeting agenda. have here. I'll call the public meeting to order and we'll do the disclosure of pecuniary interest thing again. I'm going to start with you this time, Councillor Burt.
I have none.
Councillor McCabe?
I have none.
I have none to declare. Councillor Hearn?
None.
Councillor Rankin?
I have none.
All right, thank you. This is for application zoning bylaw amendment 04/26 for 1001377663 Ontario Inc. The land subject to the proposed amendment is described as West Owen Sound Road, Divisions 3 to 4, Part Lot 35, with a civic address of 8510 Highway 6. The subject property is approximately 21.5 hectares in size. The location is shown on the map in your package. Purpose and effect of the proposed amendment is to rezone a portion of the subject lands from agricultural exception A1 zone to agricultural exception A127 zone. This application is seeking to rezone the retained agricultural portion of the property to prohibit future residential development. This rezoning is a condition of severance application B85/25 that was granted provisional approval by the Wellington County Land Division Committee. Consent will sever 0.77 hectares rural residential parcel with an existing dwelling, and a 21.5 hectare vacant agricultural parcel will be retained. How is notice given for this public meeting?
Notices were mailed to property owners within 120 meters and as well sent to applicable agencies. Signage was posted on the property on April 9th, 2026.
Thank you. Well, Jamie, if you can give us the report on this one, please.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor Lennox and members of council. I am happy to be here this afternoon to present a report to you for the public meeting. The subject property to this application is municipally known as 8510 Highway 6, located in Arthur. As per the county official plan, the property is designated as prime agricultural lands, greenlands, and core greenlands. In the township zoning bylaw, the property is currently zoned as agricultural exception, which is A-1, and natural environment, which is NE. The purpose and effect of the proposed amendment is to rezone a portion of the subject lands from agricultural exception A1 zone to a different agricultural exception A-127. The application is seeking to rezone the retained parcel portion of the property to prohibit future residential development. In addition, the standard A-1 zone regulations will continue to apply, which prohibit the construction of new livestock facilities. This rezoning is a condition of severance application B8525 that was granted provisional approval by the Land Division Committee. The consent will sever an existing dwelling from the ag parcel under the surplus farm policies. Planning staff do know that the agricultural exception A-127 zone is already an existing zone that was created to include both the A1 zone restriction for new barn expansion and apply the site-specific restriction for new residential development. The A-127 zone applies to properties that are already zoned agricultural exception A1, which are those farm properties that border urban areas. That are undergoing a zoning amendment for surplus farm severance condition. We don't have any concerns with this application, and we hope that these comments are helpful to you. Thanks.
We have correspondence from the Grand River Conservation Authority. Has any further correspondence been received in respect to this application?
No.
Okay, thank you. The bylaw for this proposed zoning bylaw amendment will be considered at the regular council meeting immediately following this public meeting. Any persons wishing notice of the passing of the bylaw must submit a written request. With that, I'll open the floor for any questions or comments from the applicant or the public.
Jeff is on the line there.
Okay. Jeff, do you wish to speak to this application?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Lennox and Council. I think the application has been explained quite well. Simply put, this is a surplus farm resident severance, allowing for the existing residents to be on this parcel of 0.77 hectares. And the purpose of the zoning is to fundamentally not allow a new residential development on the retained parcel. I'm sure we've seen numerous applications of this nature before, and I'm really happy to answer any questions or comments that council may have.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else registered to speak on this one?
No, there isn't.
Okay, we'll open the floor up for questions or comments from council. Any questions or comments?
I have none.
No, and I must say, Jamie, you really covered the one that I was concerned about, and that is the provisions of the A1 exception zone included in this. So thank you for your thoroughness in your report. With that, we'll move to adjournment. We have a recommendation here that the public meeting of May 4th, 2026 be adjourned at 2:52 p.m. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor McCabe. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So we'll go back to our regular council meeting agenda. A recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North resume the May 4th, 2026 meeting of council at 2:52 p.m. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And we'll deal with that bylaw coming out of the public meeting right away. And the recommendation that bylaw number 36-2026 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 66-01 being the zoning bylaw for the Township of Wellington North be read and passed. This is for West Owen Sound Road, Divisions 3 to 4, Part Lot 35, with a civic address of 8510 Highway 6 for 10013776663 Ontario Inc., care of DeBoer and Coffee. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Burke and Councillor McCabe, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We're on to minutes from previous meetings. We have first one is the council minutes. We have a recommendation that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on March 23rd, 2026 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Burke. Thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And we have council minutes from the 20th of April. Sorry. Recommendation that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on April 20th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Burke. Any discussion on those? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We're on to items for consideration, and we have a number of them pulled out here for discussion. So 16A1, the Mount Forest BIA, the Cultural Roundtable, that's 2. 16B1, the consent commenting. 16D1, that's the procurement policy. 16E1, the fire report. 16F1, the sidewalk program. 16G1, John Street report. And 16G2, memorial benches and tree policy. And I think that's the list. Okay, so we've got a recommendation here. We'll deal with the ones that I haven't pulled off the list, but most of them are identified for discussion. So the recommendation here that all items listed under items for consideration on the May 4th, 2026 council agenda, with the exception of those items identified for separate discussion, be approved and the recommendations therein be adopted. Moved by Councillor Rankin. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hearn. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So we'll go to the BIA minutes report. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the minutes of the Mount Forest Business Improvement Area Association meeting held on April 14th, 2026. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor McCabe. Questions, comments? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Lennox, I just wanted to make a comment on how the main street in Mount Forest looks at night now. It's quite a bit brighter. It's not the yellowy lights that we're used to. And wanted to thank the Mount Forest BIA for their partnership with the township and with Wellington North to get this done. It looks a lot better, and it's more I guess friendlier and probably safer as well. And then I was just going to comment on the Pizza Hut laneway as well, the thoroughfare there. It's just nice to see that this is getting closer to the finish line, hopefully, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to the cultural roundtable minutes. So recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the minutes of the Township of Wellington North Cultural Roundtable meeting held on April 9th, 2026. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor McCabe. Questions, comments? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you. Through you again. On the topic of the roundtable, I think everything looks like it's moving really well. The portal, I think, would be pretty handy for all of our residents and volunteers to know who is needing volunteers and how they can help out and be a part of the volunteer movement as well. The cultural moments are just incredible. I hear so many outside of council and township staff. It's amazing how many people actually tune into those. So kudos to everyone that writes those and Mike who delivers them. And the one thing I did want to comment on was the cultural symposium held the other week. The two Indigenous presenters, I can't think of their names off the top of my head, were incredible. It was a good crowd, I think of about 40 or 50 people, and really, really worthwhile. And yeah, it was well done. And I know they were accepted very well. And I know one company in particular was looking to get them hired at a later date for their company. So I think that's a good discussion between the Indigenous and those who live here and work here as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Move on to B1. This is the consent application with a lengthy recommendation that I'm sure you have before you. So I would look for a mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Rankin and Councillor McCabe, thank you. Questions, comments? This is commenting on the Pinestone request for consent. Councillor McCabe.
Oh, sorry, Penny. No, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Lennox. I have actually had my question answered prior to the meeting, but I'm going to ask because maybe others won't know as well. And on one of the comments was that they not apply locally for contracts. And the answer was that it's not that you don't apply locally, it's that you give everyone a chance and the local just wouldn't have the preferences equal for everybody. So I was, and also I'd wondered when they are looking at contractors, do they question as to whether, oh, sorry.
Just this the one we're dealing with is the consent for the request to subdivide a house off of the remainder of the lot in Arthur.
Oh, no, did you say D1?
D1, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I should learn to enunciate better. No, that's okay. Save those. We're going to come back to that one. Because I think that's procurement policy stuff you want to talk about. Perfect. Councillor McCabe, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry. And through you, Mayor Lennox, I know a number of residents on Conestoga Street have been in contact with me probably for the last, probably 6 months or so. I know Darren and I had a little chat about it, and our CAO and I have had a little chat about it. And there's a lot of concern with taking all the trees down and opening up new housing. And I know the plan isn't submitted yet, but just curious if we knew how many homes were going to be built. And then on that severance or application, I think there has to be 2 exits for something like that, but I might not be correct. And again, I know it's not completed yet, but just wondering if we had some preliminary answers for some of the residents that are potentially going to be backing on to that.
So just help me out here, Councillor McCabe. You've got a number of things in there. What's the first question you want the answer to?
Do they know how many houses are going to be put up?
Okay.
And I know it's not submitted or complete yet, so sorry, Jamie.
Through you, Mayor Lennox. We've seen a couple of preliminary concepts, but nothing formal's been submitted, so it's probably a little too early to comment on the proposal.
And then with
Let's keep going because you had a number of things in there.
you, so yeah, okay, we'll go back to that one. And then with entrances, does there not have to be 2 entrances? And again, I know it's not submitted yet, but.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty small lot, so I wouldn't anticipate a requirement for a second entrance. Yeah, in fact, our policies would state 1 entrance per property.
So yeah, that's something we to figure out how many homes are gonna be put on this. Okay,
Anything further?
I think that's, as long as we, let our residents know what's, going on, obviously we will. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this one then for sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Comments? I got a few. So the first one is that we have this application for consent, which is just severing the existing house off of the remainder of the lot. So we have to kind of look at that on its own merits. I understand that, even knowing that what the remainder of the lot is likely to be developed, but we don't have a development proposal before us. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. This is just for the severance and there's no development proposal.
Okay. And because of the nature of the remainder of the lot being heavily treed, do we have any guidance in terms of our official plan or zoning bylaw in terms of appropriate removal of urban forest in a situation like this?
Yeah, I can speak to that a bit. So as per the county official plan, the wooded area is not part of the Greenland systems. Within the urban areas, any woodlot that is less than 1 hectare isn't protected as part of the Greenland systems. Therefore, it is not protected from site alteration or development. So in terms of our blanket policies that cover our Greenland system, it's not protected that way. However, there is a county tree preservation bylaw, which they may have to abide to. That's not a bylaw that we work with. Our county forester is the administrator of that bylaw. So he would be the best person to reach out to if you guys had any questions directed about the tree. But having said that, as Darren kind of mentioned, and it's known that there's likely going to be development on this severed parcel down the line. And it's likely, depending on the density, a site plan would likely get triggered. And at that stage, we would look at tree preservation as part of the site plan. But in terms of policy, it's too small for it to be part of the Greenland systems, and it's therefore not part of those policies.
And in a situation, whether it be in Greenlands or not, when it comes time for a parcel like this to be developed, is there any obligation on the owner to evaluate the viability of the existing trees?
So because it's not part of the Greenland system, I can only speak on the Greenland system policies. There might be something within the tree preservation bylaw, but again, that's not a bylaw that I'm familiar with. We don't work with that well. But our county forester, if you did ever want to reach out to him, he'd be best to answer those questions.
And then I guess the next question is probably more for you, Darren. When we get to a site plan agreement in a situation like this, are there things that we could implement to try to mitigate the impact? So in terms of tree preservation, screening, those types of things in a situation like this?
Yeah, so based on what the proposal might be, I would anticipate that we'll consult with the developer and the county tree bylaw and be sure we know the answer moving forward at a zoning amendment stage. Because the province set rules that development of 10 units or less, site plan control doesn't apply. Doesn't mean the regulations and rules don't apply, but there's just one less process for it to get caught if it's a small scale development. So we'll be sure to review that at the zoning stage, and then again at either building permit or site plan, depending on which threshold they meet.
So even though we may not have to go through a formal site plan proposal, we could be specifying some of those provisions in the rezoning applications.
If there was applicable law, or if the law was applicable, we would, or we would highlight that that law is not applicable.
So, I mean, at this stage, this is a straightforward consent, just dividing the property. There's really nothing in terms of there's no impact on trees at this point. It's anticipation of further development of this lot is really what's gathering the concern.
That's the way I understand it too.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to D as in dog 1. Sorry. So a recommendation here is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report finance 2026-004 regarding procurement policy 006-2026, and the council approve procurement policy 006-2026 and rescind procurement policy 003-2018. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. Questions, comments? Councillor Rankin.
Section T2 and 3 under by Ontario trade agreements, it says that except where expressly permitted or required by law or directive, the township shall not apply local preference. So I was wondering why they would be applying local preference, and I was advised that that's because equality is considered for everywhere, and if something can be bought locally, it may be, but it's not specifically geared to local over a better deal elsewhere. And because it did say that it requires township to prioritize Ontario or Canadian goods. So I have questions relevant along with that. If they're trying to buy into Ontario with trade agreements, so forth, when they look at a contractor, do they look at where the contractor is buying their supplies from? Oh, I didn't have my mic on after all that. No, I was just wondering, when they are considering contractors for different positions, do they consider where the contractors are buying their supply from if they are trying to buy Ontario with trade and use the trade agreements?
Jerry, can you help us with that one?
Tree Mayor Lennox. I missed a lot of the question, but I think I get what she's trying to ask. So two aspects here. The first one is that for a lot of our infrastructure projects, we have a material list and supplier list in that sense, but we do not specify for the rest of the other procurements within the township what supplier, where you get your materials. But for infrastructure, water, valves, water pipes, valves, the ones we use towards our mains and the rest of them, we have a supplier list or a material list and our best suppliers that we recommend that the contractors feed into our system when they do work for us. The second question you had was why we didn't have somewhat of a preference in 14.31 for local suppliers. I'll preface it by saying most of our tenders or many of our tenders are awarded to suppliers who are local or within the immediate environment here. But due to the Canada trade agreement, we can't give preferences or discriminatory preferences using geography as one of the basis of it. What we're able to do in our RFPs or procurement documents is for projects where we feel we need someone who is more familiar or closely related to the terrain, or we need a specific supplier for it, we're able to specify some of those metrics and use them as part of our scoring system. But it's specific to each project, and we can have it broadly for all of our procurements. What we are aligned with is that we have to buy to a large extent now with the tariff regime, Canadian manufactured goods. Buy Ontario is becoming really a push from the province as well. So we're doing these policies aligned to what the province has put out in terms of Buy Ontario as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Councilor McCabe?
No, thank you. And through you, Mayor Lennox. I guess, Jerry, I'll put this to you. Kind of looks like it's more of a housekeeping and I guess evolving as we grow and partner with neighboring municipalities. I just was curious, and maybe I overlooked it, but with the procurement, what's the limit or the cutoff or the maximum amount that staff can procure, excuse me, without needing council approval?
So in terms of limits, council approves the operating and capital budget in its entirety. When we get to the procurement, the CAO has up to $250,000 they can approve in terms of actual purchasing and tendering. Any amounts beyond that $250,000 for procurement would have to come back to council as a council report where council approves. If we also have projects that have cost overrun, even though they're beneath the $250,000 in our budget approval, just for the fact that it has an overrun beyond the approved amount, we would have to bring that project back as well to council to let council know that we'll need to spend a little bit more funds towards that project. But yes, this is very much a housekeeping measure, but it also modernizes our procurement policy. The last policy we had was 2018. Since then, we've had a series of involvements. One most recently this year when we moved from manual procurement to electronic procurement. So this policy kind of closes the loop on all of that to enable staff to do their job.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I just wanted to make a comment and really procurement policy. This may seem administrative in nature, but procurement policy is really a foundational policy for council. It delegates to staff how the money of the corporation can be spent. So I think it's important that we make sure that we're paying appropriate attention to it, and I'd just like you to, if you could, Jerry, just kind of go through some highlights in terms of process that has changed and what the implications have been that this will allow us to do that we weren't able to do before, and how that will benefit the municipality. So if you can give me a few bullet points just to highlight them, I'd appreciate it.
I'll try. So what we've done with this is kind of streamlined our timeline for procurement. Previously, our previous procurement policy kind of locked all our procurements to 40-day period. This gives us a little bit more flexibility to move to market quicker. For contracts that we consider that to be quite simple and fairly consistent. So we're able to do them now within, I would say the average should be around between the 21 to 30-day mark. The ones which are complex in nature that we want the suppliers to have all the time in the world to put together a good submission would remain 30-day plus. The other thing that this procurement policy does for us is that it brings really wording to support our new e-tendering systems. A lot of what we had in the previous procurement system was really focused more to our paper procurement that we're doing. So this kind of moves us away from that a little bit. A key highlight would be in terms of securities and how we handled securities previously, or even irregularities. The irregularities that we faced with paper tendering are different from the ones that we face now with electronic tendering. This procurement policy aligns now with the Buy Ontario mandate. So that's another step that we've kind of closed the gap between what our policy had and what Ontario is asking us to do. Approval thresholds, we've moved by the CAO's $250,000 or delegation authority thresholds, why the $250,000 for the CAO stayed the same. We've kind of moved up the SMT members, or what I call it, department heads, from a mix of 25 to 75,000 to all 100,000 to give them a little bit more responsibility for their areas, while still liaising with the CAO and myself for their various procurements. So those would be some of the main themes around this new update.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Jerry. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor then? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to the fire year-end report. Recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive for information report fire 2026-003 2025 year-end report. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor McCabe. Thank you. Questions, comments?
Are you sure?
Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Penny, and thank you, and through you, Mayor Lennox. Thank you, Chief Harold, for the great report. It's another one. Thank you, and it's been a very busy year for all three fire services, and I was just curious as to why Wellington North had, I guess, 330 instances, and it seems like a lot more than Minto and Mapleton. And I was just wondering, is that just because of Highway 6, Highway 89, and 109?
Through you, Mayor Lennox, that's a great question. We would love if anybody could figure that out for us, why we're get so many more calls from Wellington North, but it is definitely, we do more MVCs. As you can see the numbers there, we do more MVCs because of the traffic that we have coming through. We're a main thoroughfare, obviously, with 6 and 109. So that is a contributing factor. We also have a significant number of apartment buildings as well that house a lot more people. So increase with some medical calls, alarm calls, a lot of cooking incidents, stuff like that at apartments. So that's a contributing factor as well. And other than that, it's just demographics and just by chance, I guess.
Don't forget, we have significantly more population than both Minto and Mapleton too. So
Yep, that's fair. Can I
go ahead.
Yep. One last one. Sorry, Penny. With the 14 new recruits, that's fantastic. So are we at full capacity, not only just in Wellington North, but with all three fire services?
Yes, we're getting a lot closer. We get to capacity and then we get someone else that moves away or does a different job or that. So currently we're at 26 firefighters in Mount Forest and 24 in Arthur. So wow, we're right around the capacity mark. So which is fantastic considering about 5-6 years ago we were in the teens in both places. So I am happy to say the numbers have stabilized significantly, and we're always looking for a few more bodies just to be ready to, for people that are moving away, upcoming retirements we know about. And the fact that it takes 6 to 8 months now to train somebody to be fully trained and certified, that we want to be prepared and be able to absorb anybody that leaves, that our numbers stay stable.
Great. Thank you very much, and thanks for the good job.
Councillor Rankin.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I was just wondering, on the first slide with the call statistics, the third largest is listed as other. I'm just wondering what examples would be in other.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Lennox. That's a great question, Councillor Rankin. So other is just other calls that we lump into that. So the fire marshal's office in our standard incident reporting to them, we have to choose from a list of, I think there's 75 different call types in there. So other is just to make the graph look condensed, we take all the ones that have 1 or 2 in them and we put them into that category. So some of the ones that are in mutual aid to other towns or townships, assistance to other agencies. So that's assisting ambulance with a lift assist, assisting OPP with an investigation or a forcible entry, or they need access to a building or who knows what. And then a lot of counts canceled on route. So that goes into that category. So we're on route to a call and we get canceled. That could be a medical call that the condition has changed. They don't need us. An alarm call where it was an accidental alarm, or just person changes their mind. We get that quite often with cell phone callers where they'll drive past and see smoke in the distance and they don't stop. They just call us. And then when somebody realizes where it is, excuse me, there's no emergency there and we're canceled. So all of that is lumped into the other category.
Thank you. May I?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just have 2 more. On the next slide, you have some circles, and I'm just wondering if the relationship to the size of the circles is the same as what would be on a graph for the actual incidents.
Yeah, that's correct. The size of the circles is how many incidents we have with that. So undetermined and vehicle mechanical issues. So those are fires. So that started a fire. So for example, that could be a car with it starts in the engine, or we get a lot of agricultural machines that it's mechanical. So a bearing goes in a baler, or something goes wrong on a tractor that starts a fire. So those two are the most common causes. Undetermined is where we have a pretty good idea, but we just can't absolutely prove that that's what it is. So it goes in as they're undetermined, because we can't concisely say that's what started the fire.
Okay, thank you. Because I was wondering if the size was in relation, as you said it is. I thought the clothes dryer was rather a large amount for it. But I guess if the lint isn't cleaned out, then it would cause a problem. And just have one more question. What does NFPA stand for?
Again, fantastic question. So that's the National Fire Protection Association. So that is the standards almost all fire departments in North America follow. I think the only ones out east, there's a couple of provinces that don't follow it to as their adopted standards, but all of the United States and the majority of Canada follows that. So that's our standards for training, our standards for trucks, different things like that. They set the standard and we follow them to make sure that we meet those standards.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to infrastructure. This is the sidewalk program. We have a recommendation here that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report INF 2026-006, award of the 2026 sidewalk program, and the council award the RFT 2026-004 2026 sidewalk program to Maple Construction Group at a cost of $86,769, excluding taxes. And further, that council authorize the manager of infrastructure and engineering to sign any necessary agreements with Maple Construction Group to execute the 2026 sidewalk program. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I was just wondering, I noticed the sidewalk is being removed on Waterloo between Arthur and William. And I noticed there is a sidewalk on either side of the street in that section. Is it being removed just because it's the only sidewalk on that road and will not be replaced?
Go ahead, Tammy.
Through you, Mayor Lennox, to Councillor Rankin. So you're correct. Waterloo Street between Arthur and William Street, there's sidewalk on both the north and the south side. The north side is scheduled to be removed and will not be replaced. It currently is only a 4-foot wide sidewalk, and it does not meet AODA standards.
Thank you. Will it be replaced just with the curbstone like the other sections?
No, it will be removed, and then the driveways will have asphalt placed up to the existing driveway, and then the other sections will be replaced with topsoil and sod.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to John Street traffic. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CAO 2026-004 John Street traffic concerns, and the council direct staff to implement a no parking, no stopping traffic enforcement program commencing with education session for 2 weeks, followed by enforcement for 2 weeks with 1 week of follow-up to measure compliance. And further, the council directs staff to secure a contractor to perform bylaw enforcement duties and issue parking violation tickets. Could I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Burke and Councillor McCabe, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Burke?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I just wanted to thank staff for the report. And I really pulled this for mostly awareness, just because this has been a longstanding issue for both the residents and the neighborhood living on John Street. I like the plan of the education and then the enforcement. It seems fair. It gives folks the opportunity to change their old habits. I'm glad to see that we are also using multiple platforms to advertise this. My question in all of this is what happens after the 5 weeks?
Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Lennox. So after the 5 weeks, staff will be evaluating the effectiveness of the enforcement approach, and we will be bringing back a report to council to speak about next steps. So we are we're hoping to have conversations with the owner of the site again to look for collaborative solutions. But in the meantime, we felt it was important to enforce the bylaws that are currently in place. And hopefully it will be effective, or we'll be able to determine what the longer term plan is. And that's something that we would want to bring back to council for consideration.
Other questions, comments? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lennox. There was a mention in there about finding a bylaw officer to enforce this, and I was just curious, can we use the bylaw officer that we have retained now, or is that completely separate?
Through you, Mayor Lennox. So the current bylaw enforcement arrangement is partially through the city of Guelph, which we have a contract, and they enforce particular matters, but not these types of matters for us. So we did need to look for alternative solutions. Staff were able to, I guess, survey sort of other municipalities in terms of some of the third parties that they would use. And so the plan that we came up with was based on some of that review. And we felt that it was fairly cost effective, but also a good way to reinforce the message that we wanted to share in terms of that education first and then enforcement second.
All right, thank you very much.
Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. Would that bylaw officer be doing any other duties or just specifically with John Street?
Through you, Mayor Lennox. So this contract would be specific to John Street, and we do have key times when the bylaw enforcement would occur. So based on data, we know kind of when the issues arise, and that's when we would focus our bylaw efforts, enforcement efforts.
Any other questions or comments? I just wanted to add too, and I think this is great that we're tackling this problem. Hopefully the neighbors and residents appreciate the effort that this does, and we can get to a resolution that's satisfactory for everybody in the long run. It won't be probably pain-free through this process, but I think this is necessary given the circumstances we're in. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to G2. This is the memorial benches and tree policy. The recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CLK 2026-004 memorial bench and tree policy, and the council endorse the policy, and further that staff be delegated to update the policy from time to time, and further that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the bylaw to amend bylaw 85-2025, being the fees and charges bylaw for various services. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Rankin and Councillor Burke, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Burke?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. Again, just wanted to bring this mostly to the forefront for awareness. At your breakfast on Friday, I had a conversation with a resident that was asking about how they go about doing particularly memorial benches at the cemetery. So it's a very timely report. So I'm happy to see that because there are a lot of folks that would like to participate in these types of programs. And quite often I've been asked specifically, there's a program at the sports complex where you can plant memorial trees and down at Murphy's Park. And I'm just wondering, because this report has come from the clerk's department, those folks that need assistance to navigate this, do the questions come to you, Karen? And does this sort of replace the recommendation or policy that is within the recreation department?
So any questions or navigating the process, they can certainly give me a call. Yes, yeah. And it's my understanding that this is township wide. It'll replace sort of there was verbal ones, there were a few written ones, and so this is really formalizing the whole process.
Other questions or comments? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lennox, just a quick one. Just wanted to be clear that the sample benches that are in the agenda package, those are like the only two choices? So, yep, okay. And then also if someone was to buy one of the said benches, there'd have to be a concrete pad poured, so that, would that be at our expense or at the purchaser of the bench's expense?
Through you, Mayor Lennox, that cost of the concrete is included in
Oh,
the purchase price of the bench. So staff from all the various departments met to discuss this policy so that we could kind of streamline and consolidate. And in terms of the costs that were included, we looked at what it's basically at cost, including the materials and then the staff time to actually install those. But it just allows, again, that one process, one window, and some certainty in terms of what the expectations are and the actual outcome of that process is.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? I just wanted to comment that I think, when people are contemplating these types of things, it's often very difficult and an emotional time, and sometimes the requests we get are quite varied. And I think it's really valuable to have some structure around this so that people can understand if this is what they want to do, these are the steps you have to follow, and it makes it more straightforward for them. It may not exactly match what they imagined or hoped, but I think it's the fairest way to do this. That's makes it manageable and allows people to still have the privilege to do these types of things without undue difficulty, I guess I would say. So thanks to staff for putting that together and creating that structure and standardization. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of those items for consideration. Any notice of motion this afternoon? Seeing none, we'll move on to community group meeting report. Anybody have anything they'd like to report on today? Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, and through you, on May 26th, there is the Teeny Tiny Summit up in Clifford this year. Last year, I think it was in Holstein, so the registration is now open, or it has been open for a while, and I know we have another council meeting before the 26th, but just wanted to make sure that everyone can still have, or know they have time to register for it. And I'll be there as the rep from Roma, so looking forward to that again.
Okay, any other reports anyone would like to make today? Councillor Rankin?
I was just going to mention the cultural roundtable, but Councillor McCabe had already mentioned it before. The presentation was excellent with the moccasin identifiers and well worth listening to.
Okay, thank you. I think I have anything to report on today, so we're on to cultural moment, I guess.
The Wellington North Cultural Roundtable presents A Cultural Moment, How Big Island Became Piggy Island, briefly, Part 1. For a very short while, Big Island, located in the middle of Luther Marsh, was known as Piggy Island. The following information comes from the person involved, and in no way was he or any animals involved harmed. One evening after work some time ago at the Luther Marsh, a few Grand River Conservation employees sat around a table in Damascus wondering what they could do to liven things up. What could we do, one asked. Well, we could have a boar hunt in the marsh in the fall, replied another. Good idea? Maybe, maybe not. Resourceful as one of the men were, Jack Benham went to Harry Duncan, a counselor for West Luther and a pig farmer who supplied a sow with a litter of piglets in exchange for a load of grain. With 15 men working one day, they loaded up the sow and piglets into rowboats and took them to Big Island. Once they arrived, pigs do what pigs do. They root around to forage for food, and all was well. Some weeks later, a group of avid bird watchers from Guelph planned a weekend birding at the Luther Marsh at, you guessed it, Big Island. They rented canoes, paddled across, and set up their campsites and settled in for a nice, quiet birding experience. While they were off exploring the island in search of sightings and photos, pigs do what pigs do. They invaded a nice little camp that offered free food, tents to demolish, and generally make a mess of everything. When the birders arrived back at their camp, they were sure there was some sort of pig operation on the island that they wanted no part of, so they left but didn't leave it at that. The bird watchers then contacted the Ministry of Lands and Forests in Toronto to report these animals. As the news traveled to the GRCA's head office in Cambridge, all hell had broken loose. How could the GRCA condone a commercial pig operation on an island in the Luther Marsh? So head office types do what head office types do. They ordered the staff at Luther Marsh to deal with the pigs. However, after a couple months of freedom, these feral pigs did not want to cooperate any more than pen pigs want to cooperate, so the staff went back to shore and gathered some lumber to build a corral. They baited the enclosure with corn and hoped for the best. The plan worked. All 12 pigs and their mother were in the corral. The sow was a mean one and needed a little more coaxing, so Jack had a rope and told the lads to get ready to tackle and lay her on her side so he could hog tie her. The sow was lassoed, and when Jack looked around, no one was in sight. Mother Pig decided to make a run for it, dragging Jack along. There was only one person not laughing at the sight. The laughter died down, the sow was finally tied up sufficiently that she couldn't run, and the pigs were put into sacks and tied up tight. They got them all to the rowboats, but then another problem. The sow had gained a bunch of weight, and the rowboat would not be enough to get her to the shore. A call went to the head office to get an airboat to the Luther Marsh as soon as possible. The airboat arrived over to Big Island, and the sow was loaded on the front. If the boat sped up, the front dipped down into the water, so a very slow-paced procession inched its way to shore while the sow squealed constantly. Meanwhile, on shore, some tourists had come to visit the marsh and saw what they were sure was a lion being captured. They too left in a hurry. To be continued.
Oh. That's quite a yarn. Okay, we're on to upcoming meetings, notices, and announcements. So we're having the Wellington North Tree Day pickup here on Friday and Saturday. On Friday 2 to 4 and Saturday 9 to 11 a.m. The Infrastructure Capital Projects Public Open House in Arthur is next Monday, May 11th from 5 to 7. The next Mount Forest BIA meeting is May the 12th from 8 to 9. Victoria Day, the office will be closed, so our meeting will not be on the Monday, but will be on the following day, the Tuesday at 7 p.m. And with that, I don't have formal announcements, but I have a little announcement that I'd like to make myself. So just want to clarify my intentions for the upcoming election. I've had the honor to serve on council for 16 years, and I'm very appreciative of the support I've received from voters, council colleagues, and staff. Democracy depends on different ideas and approaches. I'm very grateful for the opportunity I've had to contribute to the democratic process, and I believe it's time for some renewal. As a result, I will not be seeking re-election in the fall. I encourage candidates and voters to come forward and respectfully and vigorously debate potential solutions to the challenges we face. I wish my successor all the best and pledge my support and guidance if requested. Thanks. And with that, we'll move on to our confirming bylaw. We have a recommendation here that bylaw number 37-2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North at its regular council meeting held on May 4th, 2026, be read and passed. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favor? That's carried. And that brings us to adjournment. We have a recommendation here that the regular council meeting of May 4th, 2026 be adjourned at 3:40 p.m. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We are adjourned.